Good morning, everyone. It's just about 15 minutes past 10 o'clock here in our studios. It's time now for Money Matters. And this program is brought to you by the Bank of Nevis.
Home. It means something different to everyone. It's a place you love, a place as unique as you are, a place where you can be yourselves, a place for life's big surprises, and not to mention the small ones. Moments to cherish and moments that last a lifetime. It's a place for nurture and a place where you can grow together. It's home. So whether you're building, purchasing, or renovating, the Bank of Nevis is here to open the door, giving you the confidence to dream and the help you need to get there with a mortgage loan from the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Yes, indeed. It's time for another Money Matters program right here on WEN FM with our financial coach and consultant. I think I could actually call you a guru, Mr. Francis. I think I could say guru, yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Just giving some tips, just going out of experience and, basic things. So guru is a big word, but let's go. Let's talk.
Yes, indeed. Like I said, we have our financial consultant, Mr. Francis, and he is taking us along and giving us tips and tidbits on how we can save our money. And these days, we need to save as much as possible these days. All right, and the program airs right here on WEN FM every Wednesday from 10:15 until 10:45. So if this is your first time listening, have no fear. Stay tuned. You're going to get some tips. And if you think that you gained more knowledge in this program, then you can always head over to our Facebook page or our YouTube page, WIN Media SKN, and check out the other programs that you missed because, like I said, this is probably your first time listening and get even more tips.
That's right. Ordinarily, we speak about savings, and the first thing people think about is budgeting and a lot of numbers and figures and time you have to spend collecting receipts and so on. But in this program, what we try to do is to at least find a simple way of bringing the awareness of the importance of putting aside a little bit so that you can have tomorrow when things get tough, and so that you can invest later to build your wealth.
And today we are continuing along learning. We are learning how to save money on major appliances and energy bills. And you're like, energy bills? Yes, electricity bills. We know how that one goes. So we're going to learn some tips on that today.
Right. So we take it along. We have a lot to speak about on appliances alone. So let's hope we get through in the 30 minutes
hopefully.
Energy. If not, we can take energy another day.
Okay. All right. So of course, if we're going to be talking about major appliances, we know the stove, the TV, well, not the TV, because that's not too major, washing machines, dryers, because some people have dryers. So items like that, we're trying to save money on when we're purchasing.
Yeah, and appliances are among the things that we tend to take for granted until, of course, the fridge suddenly conk out, as we say, or the washing machine breakdown, and then we begin to realize in that moment, hey, this thing is so important to me, I can't do without it, and so it's time to buy a new one.
Yeah, and it's really inconvenient when they break down just like that, and sometimes, most times, you're not even ready. It just does it, and you're like, you know what, I might have to dig deep and find, because I need to have this appliance. So with all that said, large appliances are not cheap. No. And that's the kind of point of this episode, to find ways to save. How can you save when you're buying major appliances?
Yes. Well, first, I think I would agree with you there in terms of the necessity. Yeah? After we think about it twice, we realize that, some of these appliances are just real needs. Yeah? So you get accustomed to using it, and then you can't do without it again. There used to be luxuries, things like microwaves, Yes, but they become part of our way of life, and the efficiency and the ease with which we go through our day depends on having these appliances. Now, when you buy them, they can be expensive, I agree. And so, one of the things you want to be careful about is whether you are able to buy and begin to use immediately out of your own means, or whether you have to find and dig up some other people's means, maybe some loans, or borrow some things there. So the first important thing is to try to pay in cash. It's usually kind of tempting, especially in the moment of need when you're desperate, to use like a credit card, or to get into some purchase arrangement like in the store, the hire purchase or so. Well, that is something you should try to avoid, because you actually save money by paying for your appliances cash. And in fact, you can save up to pay cash. But even when you pay cash, what you're doing is you're saving money, because it means that you are not paying interest on the money you use to acquire that appliance. So there's one thing about paying interest in the store, and another thing about paying interest, say, to a bank or your credit union. Usually the in-store interest is greater. So the higher purchase interest is usually higher, larger than what you pay on a bank loan or credit union loan. So you want to think about that. But even before you get the loans, the first way that you truly save when you get in appliances is to buy them cash.
So definitely paying cash is better than hire purchase or any other thing. We've heard that as well, and even doing like a layaway plan. Pay a little bit over time to own. So it's definitely true then.
Yeah, it's true. One-off payment will always be cheaper overall and in the long term than hire purchase or layaway. In fact, if you pay with cash, right, from your emergency fund, your only problem will be rebuilding your own emergency fund to its original balance, so that months after you build that up and you have it there again. And again, looking back at how we started, we say usually it's when the thing breaks down that you find yourself in desperate need to get a new one. And that's why you have an emergency fund. You put an emergency fund away during your peacetime when nothing is breaking down. Every month, nothing is there to be an emergency for you. You put the money there. You have an emergency fund, and you use that for appliances when they break down. And in that way, you save by not having to borrow to get that. And also you keep your standard of living, your quality of life, because your appliance is there. So if you do have to take a loan, what you're doing is you getting the use of the thing, and it's as if you're paying rent for it for a time, because you would be paying and not getting back anything from the interest that you pay on it, which is could have been avoided if you had prepared yourself with an emergency fund. So even if you have to borrow, then you look for the cheapest way. You look for a shorter loan, you look for a lower interest rate, and you try to get your friendly lender. Not try to get a new lender, go somewhere where you already have a track record, so that you can get the best short-term loan for this appliance. But again, it is always cheaper to buy cash, one-off payment, and you take it home, you use it, then you replenish your own personal or family emergency fund.
All right, so cash, always cash. All right, what's the next tip?
Yes. Well, another way you save on appliances is major appliances, these ones, is to buy used, right? To save money on these appliances, you think not only of having it brand new all the time, but perhaps you can have it used. Now, people might say, I don't want to use something after another person, but some appliances, what qualifies as used is you get to the repair shop or you get to the store, and they have two types of use. They have the use that are repossessed, usually. Somebody couldn't pay for it and they took it back. They took it on layaway. As I say, layaway is very expensive. After a while, you really just, something you would buy cash and walk away with. You would be on layaway 3 years, 4 years, you're paying for this thing. It's deteriorating while you're using it as well, wear and tear. But to some people, their items are repossessed. The store take them back. They clean it up. They have their engineers check on it, or the Technicians check on it. Yes, they polish it up and so on, and they put it back on the floor. It's really cleaned. Sometimes if it's something like microwave and so, they will sterilize it and so. So when you get it used, you actually getting it almost new. It's just that somebody couldn't pay for it. It's not like it's old and beat up. That's why they can put it back on the floor. And those prices tend to be cheaper, way cheaper than a new one, perhaps 40% of the new price. 60% of the new price, and that is a big saving. The other type of use that you have is something called recondition. You know, like the used car, when you buy a used car, say from Japan or so, what they've done, they've reconditioned the car, they've brought it back into the manufacturer or another workshop, they've changed and replaced all the things that, you know, would have been, you know, worn out and over the time, and they've replaced them, and you get a vehicle that is feeling, you know, just like new, and could last you 5 years, even more, because it's reconditioned. Same thing happens with appliances. With appliances, you can have reconditioned appliances that you can go into the store and see that it is the same thing, but they have it in this section, which is, you know, either for sale or discounted, heavily discounted. You examine it, eyeball it, let them plug it on. Hear how it sound. And once you're satisfied that it's, you know, good as new, then you can save like that as well. So buy and use in that way.
The thing is, though, some people prefer to actually buy it brand new because they might say, well, how I would care for my appliance if I were to sell it again isn't necessarily the same way that, you know, who I'm buying it from would care for theirs. And so that's one of their reasonings for buying it brand new. So you're saying that we should go with a secondhand if you know, that's a better option sometimes.
Again, it depends on your personal situation, because if you are well-to-do and you have it all, I mean, you can afford it, it's good, you know, you can purchase a new one. When you're purchasing a new one, you actually don't have those worries, you know, about somebody having used it before. But if you really want us to enjoy some savings, buying used or reconditioned is not a bad way to go at all. And in fact, you can buy it from the store and so on, but you can also buy used secondhand directly from persons. I mean, in, you know, some places, persons put an announcement, and even right now
on social media.
On social media, you know, they have this to sell, and it could be something that someone is getting rid of because they themselves would have bought a new one. You know, this family is growing and they bought a very new one, they bought a larger one. And so they are getting rid of the one that they bought, let's say 1 year ago, 2 years ago, new. And so, you know, you can, there is indeed the choice of getting a new one, but you do not really lose anything. You do save if you get a used one, a reconditioned one, a secondhand one that is as good as new. And just make sure, you know, it is, you know, sterilized. You know, you can do that for yourself as well, and that's what you can do.
Okay, so tip 1 is buy cash, and tip 2 is reconditioned or secondhand is also a good option if available.
Right. If available. There's another tip here: the store sale. Sometimes we go into the store and we just go straight to what we're looking for, full stop. And so we only get to the new things. And so there are some cases where for major appliances, you can get them cheaper because they have some small defect. And I mean,
like
right here, you go to any,
a little
yes,
dent.
Exactly, a little dent, for example. You know, in the transportation from, you know, country to country, and also from port to warehouse, or warehouse to the shop floor, you find something got a little scratch. Now, because it has that scratch, especially on the bigger items, the dent, the scratch, or maybe they had to replace something in there. Somebody brought it back, somebody took it and something was defected. They brought it in, they check the warranty, they get the parts, they replace it, but it's no stock that is, you know, can be discounted. So if you find that, you can also save on it. In fact, some people go straight to the store looking for that kind of you know, discounted item that has this little dent or so it cannot sell for the full price. But it's the same thing all over. You take it home, you put a little polish on it, you wipe it 3-4 times, and it's good as new. So it's not bothering you at all because the performance, the actual item is working well. It just has a scratch or a dent or so, which you yourself can take care of. So you have that section of the stores, especially the major department stores. You can go to and find those good prices.
And what about if they have like sales where like some things might sell faster than others, and so when they want to kind of pick up sales a little bit, they'll be like, okay, let's put this particular one on sale. So kind of like
Yes.
out, not really out of season, but something close to that.
Yes. Out of season sale is a common thing, and not just out of season by the season itself, but also by the stock taken.
Mm-hmm.
Some companies they actually have orders coming in, so they order, and you order in cycles. So when this batch is sold out, you just replace it with a new batch that you ordered 6 months ago. Now, what happens in real life, like these times, these COVID years times, where there is less money around, and so you find that that inventories build up, and firms need to replace the stock. So what they will do, the new items come in, new models, upgraded features, and so they want to get rid of the old one, and so they will tend to sell them with a discount. So you want to buy appliances when there is sale as well, because you save in the sense that a new one at this time or 1 week later, 1 month later would be more expensive than this one, which is now being sold at a discount because there is a sale, or because they're getting rid of this stock, stock taking sale. So yeah, so you have those opportunities for saving as well. And in that same light, you actually have the opportunity to, we could call it to bundle. You could actually, there is a word in saving on appliances called bundle. So this is where you know that you want to buy a washing machine, and you go in there. If you bought a washing machine, a dryer, maybe a vacuum cleaner at the same time, you find that in that bundle, you can get a nice deep discount. Sometimes you have to ask for it. Other times stores have them as promotions, but that is another way of saving. To not just go get it when you feel like it, or go get it when the thing breaks down, but to intentionally prepare to get the item that you want, and you say, okay, next June I will buy this. So I'll buy these 3 together, and you begin to coach your your store clerk that that is there to attend to you. You begin to coach them that you will come for these 3 items, you want a deep discount. Bundling helps to save money as well.
Yeah, I didn't know they had bundling like that for appliances either. So that's news to me. So yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these things, Sharon, what we have to do is to ask.
True.
Of course, if the market is buying one here, the other one there, and so on, the profit is greater for the store. But if the person comes in and especially if sales are thin, they would be happy to sell you 3 items and have a smaller profit on each, because they have a profit overall on all of them together. Now you take that to your advantage, and that's your money matters tip. You take that to your advantage. You say, I know these stores, fellas, they want to sell plenty. Let me see how I could make on the buyer side, on the consumer side, from the same motivation they have. I would going to benefit here, because I do want to have these 3 appliances. I do want to have these 3 items. And so let me go and see if I can get a deal to buy all 3 at the same time.
All right. What about in terms of purchasing? Because some models are more expensive than the others. Do you go for, and sometimes you have a preference, I'll be like, I only use this particular brand, or I only use that particular brand. How about using a brand that isn't your go-to, but is just as good?
Right. And again, these days, it's very easy to know how one brand compares with another. And you can do that on the internet. I mean, there is a YouTube video for almost every single thing you
True.
want to know about.
It's true. It's
yes.
true.
And different brands tend to perform in different ways. They tend to have different longevity, you could call it, different life, useful life. But generally speaking, if it is a front-loaded washing machine, that is what it is, regardless of the brand. Now, some would be sturdier than others. So you then check to see which one is more sturdy and compare the price. I'll say this. If you were buying like a refrigerator, that you want to last for a very long time. So you want to save up your money so that you can buy a sturdy one and a good brand. If you prefer one brand over another, then if you have the preference money, you know what I mean?
I understand completely.
If you have the preference money, then you can buy that one. But if you don't, it really makes sense not to go brand name, but to go for affordability. And the good thing about this, Sharon, is that suppose today I am 35 years old, started my family, and I want big brand. I want big brand, but I don't need big brand. So I buy affordable brand right now. And the money I would have used to buy big brand today, I can save that up. If I'm saving that up, then I'm 45 years old with that saved. I have interest earned on that, but I can also use that for investment too. When I am 55, I should be able to buy a big brand. So because I have a habit of saving and preparing for the big brand days. So I think a lot of things happen along the way. You know, I'll have to pay for my children education and all sort of thing. But what is better? Is it better to have my children education paid for by a debt, or not being able to send them to school because I have a big brand appliance in the house and they are now going to the big brand refrigerator, or they are going to the affordable brand refrigerator and I also have the money saved to be able to pay for their education? So that's the way we think about it in the Money Matters tip, the money, handling your money right in order to be able to take care of your needs in life. So your question was about the model, and I would say most appliances, they work the same way. And the difference in useful life might be just about 1 or 2 for the sturdier one as compared to the other one. So the affordable brand is what you're looking for. And I could give you a story. There is a time when this Hyundai vehicles that we have here, these Hyundai vehicles were the cheapest on the block. I mean, the cheapest on the shop floor. And today, look at them. But when they were not the brand name, when they were being introduced, a lot of persons shunned from purchasing them. Those same persons today are using the SUVs and everything.
True.
So, you have to think of brand not from the brand producer's point of view, but from your own affordability, from your own pocket and your savings point of view as well.
So shopping around is definitely, in terms of comparing, like you said, the longevity, the less problematic one. Like you said, it might not be the one that you could afford, or the one you always go to, because some people I only have Samsung, or I only have Whirlpool, just to name a couple brands. But to at least pick the one, if you can't go for your preference all the time, pick one that's right up there, but still not as expensive as those other brands.
That is true. And as you speak about models too, in the same brand, you could have a 2010 model, you could have a 2015 model, you could have a 2021 model, and they have different prices because one has features that are not as advanced as the more recently manufactured one. And a good thing to do is to save by buying the older model, because the features on the new model, for example, today you might find the only new feature might be that it can talk to Alexa. You can give it voice command and it does what you want it to do. Or you can change the temperature from a knob outside rather than inside, right?
Or sync it with your phone or some new feature like that. Because I actually saw a refrigerator that does that.
And this feature on this new model results in the new model being $1,500 more. do you really need that today? So that's what we ask. If you manage your money well and you can afford it, okay. If you are at a stage in life where you can, yes, by all means. But if not, then buy the older model. In fact, go to the other store where they only have the older model, they don't have the new model now, and get it there, even though that's not your favorite store, because you're trying to save money. So that's what you want to do. Sean, as I speak about flow, about models and the flow, there is another way of saving which you might be lucky that you meet it today when you look shopping, or you may not be lucky. And that is to ask for the flow models. On every department store, on every major appliance store, you have one item or two or three on the flow so that people could look at.
Right.
But that's also the one that is, everybody jerk it up, you open it, you close it, everybody handle that. One of the ways you can save is to ask if they have flow model or demo item that they're ready to sell. Because usually what happens is that the one that is on the floor, you can actually buy it for less than the one that is in the box.
That's
the one
true.
Yes, you can. So that's a way. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. The last computer we bought for our home, it was actually a computer that was bought for $2,300. Where the price for it was $5,000, and that was because it had two situations of these tips that I'm giving. One is that it was an older model, and the other, it was already touchscreen and but it was an older model, and the other is that it was on the floor for the last year. It was the demo model that they had, the demo item. So that was the one they had showing how it works and so on, So that gave you that is also another way you could save. The key thing here is to, when you're shopping for major appliances, have your head on as far as saving opportunities is concerned.
Yeah, that's a good tip. You see, we're gonna have to do the energy saving tips for another time, because I'm looking at the time now and I'm like, wow, okay, that's the time already.
Yes. Let's do electricity another day. So these tips on major appliances, they're about buying, acquiring, but there's also there's also the point of use. So you have to also use them wisely. So use them properly, use them as intended. A lot of people buy the major appliance and don't actually open the manual, don't even take a look at view of what they say to do and not to do.
And keep the manual. Mm-hmm. I keep mine.
Yes, that's a good thing. You see, you handle your money well, not only when the dollar is in your hand, but also when the thing that the money buys is in your possession. So that's important. So yeah, you want to use the appliance as intended in order to make sure that it can last longer and the wear and tear can happen slower during the life of the appliance. So I think that's another very important tip for saving on major appliances.
Well, thank you so much again, Mr. Francis, for your tips. I'm sure our listeners are a little bit more educated on what they should look out for when purchasing these big ticket items. And although we didn't get to touch on how to save money on energy bills, next week we will tackle that, because I know that one is probably a point of interest at this point. Now that we've teased it and we didn't actually get around to it, they're like, okay, I have to tune in next week.
Very well. No, yeah, I'm happy to deal with the energy, electricity bill. Perhaps I could bring in another utility as well next week. But for today, we just want to be sure that if there are other tips that you can think about, so for example, to buy trade in, you can go and ask for trade-in. People trade in certain items, the bigger ones. Lawnmowers are also called major appliances for some people. So, you can also give us some of those in the comments, and we'll share them as well. Major appliances, save money on those as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Francis. We'll see you again next week, Wednesday, right here on WIN FM.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Sir.
You too. And that was our Money Matters program. And it's brought to you by the Bank of Nevis.
Have you heard? Owning your very own special piece of St. Kitts and Nevis has never been easier. The Bank of Nevis Limited is currently offering 100% financing with up to 15 years to repay at a competitive low interest rate. Additionally, a Visa credit card to make your day-to-day shopping needs easier. Contact us by phone or call into any one of our branches today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Bond strong. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Offer ends on June 30th, 2022.